Hello and welcome to the evening news for Monday, December 9, 2013. I'm Avinash Ramzan. Thanks for joining us. In the headlines, GPSU pickets Office of the President over 5% increase. Man shot during Port Kaituma Baghdam robbery. Government extends life of Gai Suku board again. Probe launched into operations of Quarantine Orphanage. Suspected explosion causes St. John's College evacuation. And scores of Guyanese join anti-corruption walk. Now for the news in detail. Several members of the Guyana Public Service Union at GPSU held a peaceful picket in front of the Office of the President today, demanding a proper explanation as to the reasons why government cannot afford a greater increase for public servants. Samuel Suknan was on the scene of the protest action and filed this report.
5%! 5%! 5%! 5%!
Those were the chants of public servants as they protested the office of the president today. Nurses, clerks and typists were among the several categories of public servants who joined with GPSU executives in a peaceful protest calling for a reasonable increase. GPSU President Patrick Yard said that his union is demanding a proper explanation from the government as to the reason why they're imposing a 5% increase in wages and salaries for public servants.
I am asking the public to judge. Let them be the judge. Let them tell us we are unreasonable, and if we're not unreasonable, let them join with us, because we serve the public. These people serve the public. You think I'm proud to know that we have to bring nurses here when people need medical attention? Not really, but they are human beings too. They have a right to certain things, and they're being denied it spitefully. Okay? So we are going to keep this pressure bit. We're not anxious. We're not anxious to intensify to a full-scale strike, but we're prepared to do it if it is necessary.
Alliance for Change AFC leader Kamrat Ramjatan said that in the 2013 budget, allocation was made to have public servants receive an increase between 10 to 15% and not a mere 5%. Ramjatan, who also joined with the GPSU in the protest, said that now that the blame has been shifted from budget cuts causing the need for a 5% increase, an explanation is needed to state why some $4.4 billion is being utilized for promotions.
To hear now that they're just going to give the 4% is totally unjustified. It is not a proper explanation, and I think there is some scam because they have used the money for some slush fund to deal with other expenditures, probably which we cut in the budget.
Public servants continue to demand a higher increase in salaries despite government early in the week announced a 5% increase retroactive for this year. Various picketing exercises were held at various locations across the country over the past few weeks. The GPSU has been demanding for a 15% increase for public servants, something government said it can ill afford at this time. For the evening news, I'm Samuel Suknandan.
Francis McPherson, aged 38 of Lime Street, Georgetown, and Ian Bourne, aged 30 of Port Kaituma Northwest District, were traveling on an ATV along a trail at Haimakuru, Baghdam, Port Kaituma, when they were held up by two men armed with handguns. Police say the incident occurred at about 2200 hours last evening. During the armed robbery, police say that Bourne was shot and injured at his right thigh by the perpetrators, who took away a quantity of gold and escaped. Investigations are in progress. The ruling People's Progressive Party Civic says that it is more confident than before that it stands a high chance of being able to return as a majority government in the next general elections. Samuel Suknan tells us why.
This confidence is not built up mainly on the basis of words. The confidence that we have is engendered, is generated mainly on the basis of how we sense our supporters and members, particularly reacting to the programs and the policies of the party.
That was General Secretary of the PPPC and Home Affairs Minister Clement Rohey expressing the level of confidence the party has in its constituents and plans to return as a majority government in the next elections. Rohey told media operatives today that the party is always on the ground and does not work leading up to elections, but instead constantly works to address critical issues facing the population in Guyana. He explained that the party is also fixing the damage made in the last election, which saw the government losing one seat to the opposition and becoming the first minority government in Guyana's history.
Where there have been instances where that reputation have been damaged, resulting in us losing the majority in Parliament. One of the elements of ensuring our state of readiness is to ensure that what we lost is regained.
Rohi said that the party's machinery is usually well-oiled, but to keep this going, it requires more than just words but hard work and determination to get issues fixed. The party's General Secretary indicated that over the past few months, the party has been meeting with members of its various districts and branches to keep them intact and well-greased to continue the struggle.
And I'm not talking about grease part 1 or part 2. Keeping this body greased by actively participating in the activities, keeping the leaders on their feet, keeping the NDCs, the RDCs, the members of parliament, the ministers on their feet, so that whenever we go on walkabouts, whenever we go on outreach meetings, this machinery kicks into place to ensure that all these things come together.
Reporting for the Evening News, I'm Samuel Suknandan.
In light of the recent shootout with police which left 2 suspected bandits dead on Saturday evening, Police Commissioner Leroy Brummel says that the police have launched a thorough investigation into the incident since there seems to be some conflicting reports. Bisham Mohammed reports.
Police Commissioner Leroy Brummel, in an invited comment on the recent shooting, which left Paul Bascom of Diamond Housing Scheme East Bank Demerara and Alberto Grant of Meadowbrook Gardens dead, said that the police are continuing their investigation while clearing up the issue of contradicting reports.
We are getting conflicting reports, but I have CID and Office of Professional Responsibility are investigating, so we'll get all the conflicts out of it. They have not gone very far as that. I have not gotten anything yet, so it's no comments. I can't say anything right now. Probably later, if you ask me something, I may be able to tell you. I didn't get the impression that they're heading to the home of the man. I get the impression it occurred here, at the location. At the location.
However, Crime Chief Silar Prasad stated that based on reports, the men were on foot when they were shot.
Yeah, but what is the difference between the two? I don't know. Weren't they proceeding on foot in the yard? I don't see a difference, really.
The 2 men were killed on Saturday evening in Golden Grove, East Bank, Demerara, during an alleged shootout with police minutes before they had planned to invade the property of a minor. Police in a statement disclosed that they were acting on information received that the robbery was planned on a gold miner. Hence, ranks stake out the area at Golden Grove, East Bank, Demerara on Saturday evening. According to the police, at about 22 hours 30, ranks challenged 2 men who were approaching on foot when one of them pulled out a handgun and opened fire on them. In retaliation, the police returned fire, killing the 2 men. A .38 snub-nose revolver with 2 live rounds and 2 spent shells, along with 1 9mm round and 2 7.62 times 39 round were found by the police. However, contrary to the police report, persons in the neighborhood told this newscast that the men were shot in the yard owned by Rafi Dukram, a businessman of Lot 756, Golden Grove, East Bank, Demerara. The bodies were removed from the businessman's yard at about 2 hours, some 4 hours after the shooting. One neighbor, Teresa Williams, explained what she knew of the incident.
I guess it was around like 10 something or after 10. I was in my bed, sound asleep. Then I heard the gunshots and I slid off the bed to get to my brother and my son to tell them lie low because I don't know exactly what was happening. And then that is all I know, and then I just heard the gunshots, them going on and on. Well, like around, but I couldn't sleep back after then. So I looked at the window. I was like not fully looking out, but just peeping, to see what's going on. Then I saw them bring out 2 bodies. There was like 2 something this morning.
So they were in the yard?
Yeah.
So they shot them in the yard?
In the yard.
The neighbor also said that she did not see the Dukram family, while noting that they are very reserved people. From reports gathered, the sound of the gunshots appear as though they came from a high-powered rifle. Bisham Mohammed, The Evening News.
The life of the Board of Directors of the Ghana Sugar Corporation, GAISUCO, has been extended, with plans being made to appoint a new board no later than January 2014. Salma Suknanan reports.
Agriculture Minister Dr. Leslie Ramsamy told this newscast that the extension to the board's life was made to facilitate the current board's involvement in shortlisting of possible candidates for the new management team.
We wanted to ensure that the board is providing some insight into those changes before we appoint the new board. So rather than just leaving the GAISUCO without an appointed board, we have extended the life of the board to December 31st.
Asked whether he is willing to disclose the names of the possible candidates being considered to sit on the new GAISUCO board, the Agriculture Minister had this to say.
We have considered a number of names for the chairmanship of GAISUCO. And as I said, that's part of the reason why we wanted to wait a little bit more before we appoint them. But I'm not going to say who are those people.
Dr. Ramsamy asserted that the former Deputy Chief Executive Officer of GAISUCO, Rat Singh, was not fired, but said that his contract was not renewed for that position. Singh is now serving as Deputy Chief Executive Officer of the National Agriculture Research and Extension Institute, NARI. Amid all of its production and financial woes, the Ghana Sugar Corporation has been without a proper functioning board of directors since June of this year. GAISUCO has produced just over 94,000 tons of sugar during the second crop and just under 48,000 tons in the first crop. GAISUCO is yet to make over 61,000 tons of sugar to meet the revised second crop target of 155,000 tons. GAISUCO had to revise its original 240,000 tons 2013 target to just over 203,000 tons after the first crop's results and the poor start in the second crop. Output of 203,000 tons is a low figure for the industry. GAISUCO is heading for its worst production in 20 years, with several challenges causing the industry to underperform. For the Evening News, I'm Samuel Sugnandan.
The Ministry of Human Services has set up a commission of inquiry to probe the operations of a quarantine orphanage that has been at the center of a scandal involving 3 teenage girls. The ministry said that it took the decision in light of the recent arrest of 3 orphan teenagers who resided at the Kamal's International Home in Quarantine, Berbice, and based upon public allegations of maltreatment of orphans residing at the institution. The inquiry panel will investigate the allegations and review the operations of the home in accordance with the minimum operating standards for children's home and institution, a release from the ministry said. The commission of inquiry consists of Ayu Dalgati Dean, the chairperson, members Sadia Feroz and Irma Bovel, Joanne Edgel, the legal counsel of the Child Care and Protection Agency, and Claudia Monroe, senior probation and social services officer. Hearings will commence shortly. The 3 girls who were sentenced to 4 years at a New Opportunity Corps on the charge of wandering have refuted claims of them running away from the Kamal's children home. They said they were being ill-treated at the home, and when they refused to do whatever they were told to do, the caretaker would verbally and physically abuse them and also limit their food. The girls said they had to go to their home of the caretaker to do her housework when they came home from school. The girls, ages 15, 13 and 11, made an appearance at the New Amsterdam Magistrates Court unrepresented last Monday, where the sentence was handed down by the magistrate, and to date, they are still at the Albion Police Station awaiting a probation report. The Ghana Fire Service was today summoned to the St. John's College after a report of an explosion at the city school. Details in this report.
Around 10:30 hours, the St. John's College had to be evacuated after a suspected explosion happened at the school located on Waterloo Street. When this newscast visited the scene, the school was desolate. Teachers at the school declined an invitation from this newscast to comment on the issue. The Evening News understands that a line that connected the school to the main electricity supply on a pole started sparking and subsequently started smoking. The Guyana Fire Service responded promptly to the scene to find the students already evacuated to the parade ground. They inspected the premise before allowing students to re-enter the school. Present at the school earlier today were at least 2 education officers and other officials. No one was injured in the incident and classes resumed as per normal after the fire service left the site.
This is the Evening News. Stay tuned. More news still ahead. This is the Evening News. Welcome back. The Hope Canal may not meet its December 31, 2013 deadline, according to Chief Executive Officer of the National Drainage and Irrigation Authority, Lionel Wordsworth. He said that one of the four major components of the project, the high-level outfall sluice, is only 47% complete, and contractors are continuing to face several challenges. The Hope Canal costs some $3.6 billion, and when completed will drain water from the East Demerara Water Conservancy into the Atlantic Ocean, thereby eliminating the flooding of the Mahica Creek and its environs. The canal will also bring relief to scores of affected residents and several coastal communities. Efforts are being made to complete it in the shortest possible time. As the world observes International Anti-Corruption Day, the Transparency Institute Guyana Incorporated held a march from Umanayana to Parliament buildings today. Several members of the opposition joined as the fight to eradicate corruption continues. Here are details.
Corruption affects the poor, the disadvantaged, the unemployed, the youths, children, women, people who are living in extreme hunger and poverty. There's about 1.2 billion people who are living under these conditions. People who are living on less than $1.25 a day.
That was the president of the Transparency Institute Guyana Incorporated, Anand Gulsaran. Gulsaran noted that corruption is a worldwide issue which needs to be dealt with in a holistic manner. Also present at the march were several members of parliament who lamented the fact that if every person says no when a situation comes about that may lead to corruption, the world can be a better place. Another member of the institute also reflected on the purpose of the march.
I think it's to show the solidarity with the entire international community. You know, corruption is not a Guyanese issue alone or a Guyana issue alone. It's an international issue. But we are concerned about the fact that, look, we have corruption here and we have to address it. And we think today helps to concentrate the issue, given that it has this international flavor about it.
Guyana is a signatory of the Act since December 9, 2003 and acceded to the convention in April 2008. The aim of the Transparency Institute Guyana Incorporated is to sensitize people about the effects of corruption. As such, the non-governmental organization has been holding workshops, putting up billboards, distributing flyers, among others. The theme of this year's march is Zero Corruption equals 100% Development. Officials today did not respond to the challenge meted out by the President Donald Ramotar on the authenticity of their surveys and research done on Guyana. On Tuesday last, Guyana was ranked 27 out of 100 points in the Transparency International 2013 Corruption Perceptions Index, CPI, a decline of 1 point compared to last year. According to the president, he wants to know what sources they use and who worked on the report, since he has reservations about the authenticity of the findings.
I've seen some of the local stars of Transparency International who talk a lot about conflict of interest. I saw them in the delegation of the APNU meeting the diplomats. I know one of them, their son is a candidate member of one of the political parties, but they lecture us about conflict of interest. So where were the sources? Who they spoke to? Which target group? I was just asking Clinton if they spoke with him. He never saw them. And what was the study? What was the duration of the study that was done? In the name of transparency, I hope that they will release that kind of information for us.
For the Evening News, Natasha Aziz.
Acting President Samuel Hines today signed a book of condolences for the late Nelson Mandela at the National Cultural Center. Here are details.
In remembering the battles which Nelson Mandela fought, Acting President of Guyana Samuel Hines today signed a book of condolences. The Acting President reminisced on the freedom which Mandela stood for during his time on earth.
I think for persons who are old enough to have been reading and learning about apartheid, there was a great fear that apartheid, when it came to an end, would have been ended with much bloodshed. And I think that the world, South Africa and the world, owes him quite a lot for bringing about the ending of apartheid in a humane way.
Hines urged that as human beings, everyone should try to settle their differences peacefully and avoid any hostility.
The way which challenges us all, that there be no differences that we could not settle as human beings, as brothers and sisters.
Nelson Mandela died on Thursday, December 5, peacefully in the company of his family at their home in Johannesburg. The great leader will be put to rest on Sunday, December 15, 2013. The Book of Condolences will be at the National Culture Center for persons interested in signing over the next few days. For the Evening News, Natasha Aziz.
Meanwhile, President Donald Ramotar will join other world leaders in South Africa to mourn the passing of the former anti-apartheid leader and President Nelson Mandela. Ramotar and his delegation are expected to be part of several official engagements and activities to reflect on Mandela's life, struggles and accomplishments. The South African Foreign Ministry says that 91 current heads of state have confirmed they are coming to South Africa, along with 10 former heads of state, 86 heads of delegations and 75 eminent persons. U.S. President Barack Obama, François Hollande of France and UK Prime Minister David Cameron will be among those attending Tuesday's memorial. 3 former U.S. presidents, George W. Bush, Bill Clinton and Jimmy Carter, will also be there. On Saturday, Cuban state media announced that President Raul Castro would be one of those attending Mandela's funeral. Under Castro's brother Fidel, Cuba was a staunch critic of apartheid, and Mandela had expressed gratitude for Castro's support. Tuesday's memorial service is likely to be one of the biggest gathering of international dignitaries in recent years. Today, a 37-year-old woman from Grassfield at Lusignan on the east coast of Demerara was remanded to prison after she appeared at the Georgetown Magistrates Courts, where she was charged for possession of narcotics for the purpose of trafficking. Anara Khan reports.
Standing before Chief Magistrate Prasunarayan Bihari in Court 1, Lolita Prasad entered a not guilty plea to the charge, which stated that on November 30th at Cheddi Jagan International Airport, she was in possession of 12.330 kilograms of cocaine for the purpose of trafficking. Customs Anti-Narcotic Unit Special Prosecutor Oswald Messiah told the court that Prasad usually ships vegetables and fruits to Canada. During the month of November, she made arrangements with a shipper who she did business with before to export some produce to Canada. The shipper obtained a quantity of the produce and so did Prasad. He then decided that they would both take what they had obtained to Mary, where they were expected to combine the 2 sets of produce to be shipped. Kanurangs then decided to do a 100% check on the boxes, but by then Prasad had left after paying her shipping fees. When the officer held the first balange, the top came off in his hand and it was revealed that the inside of the vegetable was hollowed out and replaced by a transparent bag with cocaine. Further checks were conducted on the rest of the balange and it was discovered that they all contained the illegal substance. The shipper was told of the suspicions and the entire shipment was taken back to Kanu headquarters. An investigation was conducted and the ranks were led to the defendant's house, but she was not there. 5 days after a wanted bulletin was issued for her, she was brought in by an attorney. Attorney Roxford Jackson entered an appearance on behalf of Prasad. He told the court that she is the mother of 3 children and made a request for a trial date. The matter was transferred to Providence Magistrates Court, where it will be heard before the magistrate there on December 11th. Anara Khan reporting for the Evening News.
This is the Evening News. Stay tuned. More news still ahead. This is the Evening News. Welcome back. The Finance Ministry has strongly debunked the contents of a Kaicho News article which suggested that it had failed to account for over $8 billion in monies set aside for the payment of wages and salaries over the last 5 years. The ministry, in a release to the media, said that the Alliance for Change, the AFC, appears to be unfamiliar with the purposes of the revisions of wages and salaries allocation, as the methodology used to determine the proposed salary increases for public servants is fundamentally flawed. It said, too, that the national budget only provides allocations to meet the cost of posts filled in the budget agencies at the time the budget is finalized. It argued that were the ministry to hire new staff, increase or revise wages, then it must also revise its allocation to meet the shortfall. The Finance Ministry said too that the AFC's claim that the difference between what is allocated and what was actually paid to public servants is inaccurate and unfounded, as it claimed that the 2013 budget catered for a 15% increase in salary. 39 civil aviation members were awarded for their sterling contributions of more than 25 years to civil aviation sector, with government pledging to do all that is necessary to meet the demands of the sector in the future. Let's find out more in this report.
In observance of World Aviation Day on Saturday, December 7, an award ceremony was held to honor 39 outstanding civil aviators. Public Works Minister Robson Ben, speaking at the event, said Guyana has recognized the movement of people by air and its importance to the development of its economy.
We have not been able to establish the kind of relationships in respect of air transportation or even sea transportation with those countries which are developing rapidly and which are today the prime movers of economic development and the prime movers of bringing millions of people out of poverty over the last 2 decades.
Minister Ben added that the challenges of meeting the future demands of air transport are not just about simply being in the air and flying planes. He spoke about the need to improve air transport while creating new linkages in the sector.
We are still missing the boat with respect to the opportunity that resides out there, which would drive our economy, which would drive the relationships, which would allow for the synergies with those economies still emerging, but with which we have relationships, understandings, empathies, history and culture that will allow us to develop rapidly.
The next 100 years will see the increased use of drones and pilotless aircraft and will require new understanding with relation to safety and technology. This will require the government and key stakeholders to work in partnership if the sector is to move forward successfully. For the Evening News, Natasha Aziz.
Some 70 law enforcement officers from various agencies underwent a 3-month training in various areas aimed at improving their efficiency level. Details in this report.
Scores of law enforcement ranks were trained in 3 categories: the junior staff course, station management course, and elementary prosecution. Training commenced in September and the closing ceremony was held this morning at the Police Officers Training Center. The training focused in areas of management, leadership, industrial dispute, and criminal law. In his feature address, Home Affairs Minister Clement Rohi said that such training will improve the efficiency of the Guyana Police Force.
The ability of the Guyana Police Force to serve the needs of our community depend to a large extent on the quality of management of police stations. If good managers are placed at the stations, fewer complaints would be received from the public, as responses to their reports would be more efficiently and effectively handled, and the force public relations would be improved.
Police Commissioner Leroy Brummel told participants that they were chosen to undergo these trainings because of their diligent performance. He urged them to make most of what they have learned and put them into practice.
This opportunity should be viewed as a path to your upward mobility as you become assets to the Guyana Police Force. I must also mention that courses of this nature allows for public interaction, conflict resolution, and organizational procedures. It is also designed to promote middle managers in support of senior functionaries. Thus, we would expect maximum growth and effective communication throughout the spheres that encompasses our motto, service and protection.
The participants comprised of officers from various law enforcement agencies, including DPP. 28 officers participated in the junior officer course, 25 were in the station management course, and 17 in the elementary prosecutors course.
Over 200 children from Bath and Blairmont villages in Region 5 today received Christmas gifts from First Lady Deolachmi Ramotar. The presentations were made at the Bath and the Blairmont primary schools. The gifts were presented by the First Lady Foundation, and distribution will be taken to other areas where children can benefit, such as regions 2, 3 and 9. Speaking at a party, the First Lady highlighted her pleasure in being able to hold a get-together during Christmas, especially with children. She added that giving gifts to the children is important because she considers all children of Guyana hers. She added that special emphasis is being placed on children who are unfortunate. Bisham Mohammed now reports that on Saturday evening, another mega store opened its doors to Guyanese public, offering the best services and products that will please their pockets. Let's take a look.
At the opening of the American stores, the evening news caught up with the country manager, Austin Ogle, who was elated and explained why the investment and what the store has to offer.
It is the market research, the results of the market research that caused the American stores representative to think that Guyana is a lucrative market. Coupling that, we are very much happy to be able to bring employment to Guyana. That is to say, manufacturing of our furniture will soon be occurring in Guyana. Variety offered by the American store is extensive. It goes into household, it goes into the actual construction finishing products, and even the mining sector. You'll see on display today chainsaws, we'll see brush cutters, we'll see sprayers. It touches on almost every aspect of life and livelihood.
While he's well aware that Guyana's market is competitive, his company's product and prices are unbeatable.
The price will speak for itself. Our products will leave the warehouse very fast. The price is definitely unbeatable. The quality, remarkable. It's going to be a marvelous one. Beyond any shadow of a doubt, it's going to be a marvelous response. We're bringing to the table fresh ideas to the buyer. We're talking about extended warranty. We're talking about low price guarantee. We're talking about hassle-free hire purchase. We're talking about meeting what you can afford to deliver. We're meeting you right there.
Georgetown Chamber of Commerce and Industries President Clinton Erling welcomed the investment in Guyana.
While courts offer a high level of service, American stores bring a new dimension to Guyana, which competes directly with Sports Guyana, and at the end, the winners are our consumers.
Georgetown Deputy Mayor Patricia Chase Green congratulated the management of the store. She said that despite all the negativity in Georgetown, the company still has confidence to invest. The first branch of the American stores was officially opened with some spectacular performances by local artists, while hundreds of Guyanese flocked Regent and Cummins Street to be a part of the momentous occasion. 10 persons were also lucky winners of various gifts such as refrigerators, sweets and television sets. Bisham Mohammed, The Evening News.
This is The Evening News. Stay tuned for sports, sponsored by Macor. After the break. This is Evening News. Welcome back. Now for a look at sport. In the headlines, Kashivan Shanghai School Football Tournament underway. St. Stanislaus wins Marion Academy Relay event. Australia thrash England to take 2-0 lead in Ashes. And the WICB ends Under-19 series following unrest in Bangladesh. Now for the details. We start with football news. The Kashivan Shanghai organization commenced its inaugural secondary school football tournament on Sunday afternoon, with East Rheinfeldt and Anse Grove becoming the first teams to record victories at the world-famous GCC ground border. Let's find out more in this report. In two starkly contrasting games, East Rheinfeldt came back from a 2-goal deficit and forced the game to penalties against Wisberg Secondary, which they won 3-2, while Anse Grove completely outplayed Christchurch 9-1. Shikedi Whitehead and Jermaine Moore put Wisberg ahead 2-0 before Romuald Legal pulled one back on the stroke of halftime for East Rheinfeldt. Upon resumption, Shaquille Frank found the back of the nets in the 52nd minute to push Wisberg further into the lead at 3-1, but East Rheinfeld made a stunning comeback with 2 unanswered goals to level the scores and force the game to penalties. Shamar Britton in the 74th minute and Nicholas Hunt in the 90th accounted for East Rheinfeld's goals as the game ended 3-all. In the ensuing penalty shootout, East Rheinfeld prevailed 3-2. The other game was a walk in the park for Ansgrove, who scored goals at will against the weak Christchurch unit. Doubles from Kevin Peters and Darrell Powell and single strikes from Shane Simpson, Jamal Blair, Osemi Griffith and Daniel Francis, along with an own goal, accounted for Ansgrove's goals, while Javante Best scored a consolation for Christchurch. Several top officials, including Sport Minister Dr. Frank Anthony and Guyana Football Federation President Christopher Matthias, spoke at the opening ceremony as they endorsed the tournament, which has attracted 24 schools from across the country. The competition will continue on Wednesday with another doubleheader at the Georgetown Football Club ground at Border. And now for some cricket news. Acting in the best interests of the safety and security of the West Indies under-19 team, the West Indies Cricket Board has taken a decision to withdraw the team from its tour of Bangladesh. The WICB's move was taken following consideration of a report on the situation in Bangladesh as prepared by the WICB security manager Paul Slow. The report emphasized that the current security environment in Bangladesh is not conducive to the playing of cricket in light of the 72 hours nationwide blockade and calls for countrywide dawn-to-dusk protest. Travel arrangements are being made to allow for the team's return to the Caribbean as quickly as possible. The team will remain safely accommodated at the team's hotel under adequate security protection until departure from Bangladesh. An explosion had occurred a short distance away from the team's hotel in Chittagong on Saturday evening. The players and members of team management were not targeted and were not in immediate danger as a result of the incident. And Australia secured a 2-0 lead in the Ashes series after brushing away England to win the second test by a thumping 218 runs. Needing to bat all day to save the test, England instead could not bat out the first hour as they lost their final 4 wickets for just 65 runs in another unnecessary flurry of attacking shots. Only once before have England lost successive test matches by the margin of more than 200 runs, but after the 381-run thrashing in Brisbane, they are now in dire danger of relinquishing the Ashes to their rampant opponents. With the third test in Port starting on Friday on a ground where Australia now have won their last 6 test matches between the two countries, England need a turnaround of unprecedented proportions to keep the series alive. Final scores in the match: Australia 570 for 9 declared and 132 for 3 declared. England 172 and 312. Back on the local scene, St. Stanislaus College ran away with the inaugural Marian Academy Relay event held as part of the Caribbean Secondary Examination Council project on Saturday at the GCC ground Border. Tristan Joseph reports.
St. Stanislaus College finished on top the points table with 132 points to take the win, while Queen's College finished second on 106 points and Bladen Hall Secondary third with 99 points. Tutorial High School finished fourth with 63 points and St. John's College rounded out the top 5 with 55 points. St. Stanislaus dominated the girls on the 20 and on the 17 4x100 meters, while running away with the girls on the 14 4x200 meters. The winning school also managed to capture both the 800 meters girls medley and 1500 meters boys medley events to secure their victory. However, the Government Technical Institute earlier swept the male open 4x100, 4x200 and 4x400 meters relay, with national sprinter Kevin Abinsets anchoring all 3 of the events to victory. Tutorial High School dominated the girls on the 14 4x200 and open 4x200 meters relays, while Queen's College were able to run away with the girls' open 4x400 and 4x200 relays during the day's events. Carifta 400 meters bronze medalist Jason Yaw also participated at the event for Bladen Hall, but was unable to help his team capture any of the relays at the event. Meanwhile, after the St. Stanislaus athletes were presented with the winner's trophy, the event was deemed a success by physical education teacher of Marian Academy, Keith Smith, as the documentation of the event will be forwarded to the CSEC examiners for evaluation and grading.
Finally, some basketball news. Ravens used a late fourth quarter run to rally past the Colts for a 69-59 win when a Philip George Legacy basketball tournament continued at the Cliff Anderson Sports Hall on Sunday. Tristan Joseph has been following the action.
Akeem the Dream Kanai ignited a late 10-2 run in the final period to help carry the Ravens over the hump, despite Ryan Stephanie's best Rudy Gay impersonation, shooting the ball inefficiently, gifting the Colts with a lot of turnovers. Kanai played off the ball for most of the first half but dominated the second half with his rebounding and ability to get in the lane and finish while picking up fouls. Kanai also ran the break well in the open court to finish with easy buckets in the final period. He finished with a team-high 18 points, 12 of which came in the second half, while Ryan Stephanie had 13 and Darian Lewis 11 points in the win. Earlier in the evening, Melanie Patriots outscored Pleasance Guardians 26-14 in the third period to take the lead and win a nail-biter of a game that ended 81-79. Flight Arthur hit 2 back-to-back threes to ignite the Patriots' run that catapulted them to the victory, as Curtly English had a team-high 21 points for the Patriots. Meanwhile, Pepsi Sonics routed the Trinity Grid Hold'em Pacesetters 73-51 with a game-high 25 points from guard Jason Squires. Collis Pluck and Roll White had 12 points each for the Sonics. Games will continue this weekend with the quarterfinal run at the Cliff Anderson Sports Hall.
And with that, we've come to the end of sport. Of course, you can find these and many more stories in tomorrow's edition of the Ghana Times. And here's an invitation to join us on TVG Channel 28 and on Radio Ghana Inc. 89.3 in Essequibo, 89.5 in Georgetown and Environs, and 89.7 in Berbice and Unikeri, Suriname. Stay tuned. Your Bridge reports next. This is the evening news. Welcome back now for a look at your bridge reports. The Demerara Harbour Bridge will be closed on Tuesday, December 10 at 11 hours for a period of 1.5 hours. And the Berbice River Bridge will be closed on Tuesday, December 10 at 10 hours 30 for a period of 1.5 hours. And with that, we've come to the end of the evening news for Monday, December 9, 2013. I'm Avinash Ramzan. Thanks for watching.